What's up, guys? It's Wero. Hope everybody can hear me. We got somebody today that doesn't really need an introduction. We got WA in the house. We all know him as WA, Wade, Stepdaddy, whatever you want to call him, man. He's everybody's favorite old dude. Here he comes.
Hey,
Wade, what's up, man? How you doing, bro?
good. How you doing?
Great, man. Great. Like we talked about before, bro, this is a podcast. I know you don't watch any of our podcasts really, but this is a
I do.
podcast to get to know fighters beyond just their personalities in the cage. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? What they are and do in the cage. So we gonna jump right into it.
Sure.
Wade, I know this is a long time ago, so do the best you can. But where were you born?
I was born in Reno, Nevada, northern Nevada. I grew up north. Uh,
Really? No shit. Okay.
yeah, my parents they lived in Hawthorne when I was born, and Hawthorne's like a little army depot that was during the Vietnam War. They're building a lot of bombs out there, and so it was pretty decent sized town. My dad was a coach teacher there at the high school, and then I was born in Reno, and then we moved when I was young. We moved to Fallon, Nevada, and then that's basically what I remember is growing up in Fallon, a little
Okay.
small town.
My sister-in-law's from Fallon. They live down here now.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, how
Wow.
how long did you live in Fallon?
Oh, I lived there since '72. I don't know, and I lived there
70. Huh?
'72 to '89 because after when I graduated high school, I didn't. I just lived at home a few summers.
Okay.
I'd go to school, then I went on my mission, and then I came back and just was there for a couple summers after my mission. Yeah, actually, yeah, a couple summers after my mission. Then I got married and then moved to Reno, and then eventually job moved me down to Henderson, and that's where we're at now.
Okay. And you mentioned your mission. There's probably going to be a few people who watch this that don't know what that is. But do me a favor before you get into that. Start in the beginning. Um, about I know we are talking before. You were raised in LDS in the church.
Yeah,
Your
I'm.
parents were in the church, and you have dozens of family members in church. Break that down for us real quick.
Well, basically, I'm a lifelong member of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints. They're Mormons. I'm Mormon,
Hmm.
and my heritage goes back to my first relatives from England, Scotland, Wales, Denmark. They all came over because they were settling with the early pioneers. They were settling the Salt Lake Valley area, and so both on my mom and my dad's side, they were all pioneer heritage, basically. So it's just generations, like 5, 6 generations now, if not
So,
more.
were they settling because they were LDS out here, or did they become
Yeah,
LDS when they settled out here?
well, basically, when the church first started, they kind of ran into trouble. They went from location to location, like in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Missouri, and every spot, people, it's a group of people coming together, and they didn't like it, so they got ran out a lot. And then finally, when Joseph Smith, the guy who started it, was assassinated in Missouri. That's when Brigham Young said, "Hey, we're going to go out to the west and we're going to settle our own place where nobody's at." And that's how they settled the Salt Lake Valley. And then they sent pioneers, to settle like Vegas area, Arizona, California, throughout Nevada. A
And
lot
you
of the
have
West. Go ahead.
and you have family members that you've done genealogy or was it genealogical? I don't know. You've
Genealogy.
researched
Yeah.
genealogy. I was trying to look as an adjective instead of a verb though. However we do it, but you have family members that you can trace back that actually settled with Brigham Young and his people out here.
Oh yeah. Like I've got my genealogy has been done by people that from outside my family. My family, I've got genealogy. I got an app. The church has an app. It's called Family Tree,
Hmm.
and I don't. I think it's open to the general public, but they've ancestry.com and stuff. They've merged with these companies because the church has a ton of records, and these companies
Yeah.
wanted it. So they've
Okay.
merged with to gather their information. So I have like I can go on my phone if I flip through the right genealogy, I can get down my line. I can get to like royalty in England back in the 12th, 11th century,
That's
like
cool.
Sir
Yeah.
Isaac. Some just like these crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, I'm basically I'm all English essentially when I get
Yeah.
down.
No, that's really really cool. So I'm assuming a large part of your life has been the church.
Well, yeah, it has. That's it's kind of always. I'm always. Oh, that's the Mormon kid. I grew
Yeah.
up being that. That's the Mormon kid. And not there's quite a few of us, and in this part of the country, there's quite a few members, but yeah, we're always like, oh, there, he's Mormon. You know, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs. And it's
But he
Matt,
punches. He loves to punch people in the face,
I
though.
like to punch
Yeah. Yeah.
people. Well,
Well.
it's funny. My dad was my hero. My dad
Mhm.
was who I wanted to be like growing up, and um, he loved sports. He watched any sport that was on, and I could watch. I couldn't watch a whole. I could watch Monday Night Football. I couldn't watch a whole game, but there's one thing I could watch a whole thing from beginning to end, and that was a boxing match. If there was a pro top level boxing match. My dad was a huge fan of boxers, and he just respected them, like because he tried boxing when he was younger, and he respected them, and so I would watch first through 14 rounds with my dad from beginning to end, and I loved it. So I kind of fell in love with fighting from my dad, who was a very strong member of the church, and it's just his Jack Dempsey was actually Mormon, and that was his hero, and he,
Yeah. That's
and it
huh.
so we don't. I didn't really ever look at fighting as like not being part of being Mormon. I just thought that was
Yeah.
part of being Mormon.
Because it is. I mean, it is just a sport. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just a
It's just
sport. Yeah. When it
it's a
boils down
sport.
to it, it's like playing basketball. It's just a little
Yeah,
bit more
and
violent.
and that's and I would always watch those guys, and I would watch it, and I would just be amazed by their condition. And
Mhm.
I would box with my dad, and dude, every time he'd hit me, it just like would flinch and duck and close my eyes. And I would watch these guys, and they would hit each other, and not even flinch, and just bam, and then hit right back. And I thought, man, that would be awesome to be able to do that at some point in my life. Be able to get in a fight, not care if anybody hits me, and just hit him back, and just being able to have that like sweet science of boxing. So
Yeah.
it's always something I wanted to do, I should say.
Uh, Samke is asking, could your dad fight too? Have you seen him fight? Did he ever compete?
No, my dad's a cowboy. So my dad grew up just cowboying. And so he had two brothers. One was 6'2", 6'3", and the other one, he was the middle brother, and the other one was older and a really good athlete. And they would box each other.
Okay.
And their dad had boxing gloves for him, and he would have them box every night. And my poor dad, he would just get the crap beat out of him because he had his little brother that was up
Yeah.
here, and then his older brother that was just a really good athlete.
And
And
then his
so
son grew up and could whoop him too, huh? He just couldn't catch a break, could he?
yeah, he could not catch a break, but so so he would teach me how to box when I was younger.
Hmm.
But you know how when you're a little kid, I didn't do it enough to really learn how to
Right.
box, but I always wanted to be a fighter. I wanted to know how to fight.
So, just to recap real quick, you pretty much lived in Nevada your whole life, um,
Yeah,
and you've been a part of the church your entire life, and you've been
yeah,
interested, at least interested in watching combat sports pretty much your
Yeah.
whole life. When did your desire to train and learn it come about?
Well, I got, I went through my first year of college and I failed miserably. I was so bad at school.
As we do, yeah, that's
and
pretty common.
so and so my mom and my dad are just like, I came home that summer after my first year and they're just like, what are you to do? It's just like, they had this disappointing look in their eyes. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on a mission. I'm going to go 2 years. I'm going to go on a mission. And they're like, good, because you need to figure out something because what you're doing right now isn't working. So I went on a mission and had a good friend, a family friend that owned a Chinese restaurant in town. They were Thai. And the dad really liked me. I was good friends with the dad. And he asked me, he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go on a mission. He goes, you're going to go to Thailand. Because I put it in papers and they don't tell you where you're going to go. And he goes, you have missionaries in Thailand. They'll send you to Thailand. And it's like, I said, maybe. But I said, I just put on there, hey, I'm willing to learn a language. I'm willing to go foreign. And then about 4 weeks later, my mission call came in Bangkok, Thailand. So he knew something
That's
I
so
didn't
cool.
know.
Yeah.
And I got to go to Thailand. And so when I was getting ready to go to Thailand, well, I went first. You go for 2 months. You go for language training. It's a 2 year mission, but first 2 months you go to language training in Utah, and you have a bunch of white people teach you Thai, which doesn't really work out that well.
Yeah.
But they had this poster up, and it was these kickboxers, and I was like, these guys look like athletes, and I kind of was thinking, wow, this looks cool because my dad, we would see kickboxing fights every now and then on TV, but my dad would be like, oh, these dudes suck. They're either just not really good at boxing, so they decided to kickbox, or they're just not really good at karate, so they decided to box. They're just not really good at either one. So I just had this picture in my mind that kickboxers were just subpar,
not that tough.
yeah, subpar athletes. I saw this poster and this guy's kicking and he's got these in his calves and his legs are just built. And I see in his shoulders and he's just like, splayed out kicking. And I was like, this looks cool. So when I got there, I was lucky. I was in Thailand during the golden era, what they call the golden era of Muay Thai. And that was a time when.
Is that what the entire country calls it? Because I know you have a golden era. I have a golden era. We all have personal golden eras, but is that something
No,
national?
that's what the Muay Thai community calls the golden era.
Gotcha.
The Muay Thai fans, 90 through 94 is the golden era, and I was there 90 through 92, and it was a golden era for a couple of reasons. You had Lumpini and you had Rajaman as the two stadiums, and everybody at that time, all of a sudden, most people had a TV in their house. Like Thailand wasn't where we were at, where everybody had a TV.
Hey, hold on 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'm getting some comments saying they can't hear me. Can you guys not hear me that well right now? Let me double check this. All right. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I know you can hear me, but they're saying. Yeah, I don't. Volume low. Yeah, I've got everything turned up, everything ready to go. Not sure what's going on. You know what? Let's try. Yeah, I don't know what the hell. How about now? Can you guys hear me now?
Oh yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I just switched to the beats instead of the microphone. Something might be wrong with that microphone.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the golden years in Thailand.
Yeah, so golden era Muay Thai. So I was everybody in Thailand at that time all of a sudden had TV or access to TV. So anywhere you went, there was only a few channels, and most of them played, and there was always a channel with Muay Thai going. And
Mm-hmm.
so everywhere we go to restaurant, there's just be Muay Thai going, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So we were riding our bikes one day, and we just going down the street, and we just hear this loud ish, ish, and just smack, smack, all this, and just we're like, what is going on? So we go down the little side street, and it's a Kai Muay, it's a Muay Thai gym.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, I'm like, dude, I gotta learn this. And so I step in there and I tell the guy, hey, I'm coming here Monday, and can you teach me? And they're like, yeah. And I go, how much will you charge? And they go, we'll charge you 25 baht. 25 baht was $1. I mean, it was nothing.
Yeah.
And this is how old it was. No, but they were surprised a white guy came in to try to learn Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that now in Thailand? Like
Yeah.
that's a huge industry now, is teaching
No,
Muay
massive.
Thai
Mm-hmm.
to white people. They had never seen a white guy even come and show any interest in their gym. And so I showed up on Monday, and they were even more surprised. They're like, "Oh, you came?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. It said I was going to come." And they were teaching us how to kick the bag, and I loved it. So I would go back there every Monday, and we met this kid, and we asked him his name. His name was Samson, and he was just a really quiet guy. And we would go back, and I would always watch him spar and everything. I was just amazed. And
Mm-hmm.
Samson goes, "Hey," about a month later, he goes, "Hey, come. Do you guys like Wit Dio, which is Thailand pho? It's the same thing as pho in
Yeah.
Thailand." He goes, "My mom's got a Wit Dio shop. Come have some Wit Dio." And so we went there, and we're watching. He goes, I'll put on one of my fights," and we're watching this fight. And at the end of and he's in Lumpini. I'm like, holy crap, you're fighting in Lumpini? I thought you were just fighting in like the local
Yeah.
ring. He's like, no, I'm fighting Lumpini. And then he's getting cut up in the fight, and he's walking through this guy, and he's kicking, and he's just nonstop. And we're like, dude, you're a beast. And after the fight, they put a belt around him. And I was like, Are you the champ? And he goes, yeah.
He's that's nuts.
We're like, his name was Samson Isan, and Samson
Uh-huh.
Isan, he went on after that. He went on to be a WBO or WBC boxing champ. He was like
Mm-hmm.
53 or 45-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's a legend there. And he didn't even, I mean, we knew him for like a month, and he's like, yeah, I fight him with Beanie, but he didn't tell us he's the champ.
He just like yeah. But
But
like that's nuts. Thais are very, very humble about everything. That's just life for them.
they are. Ties are very, it's probably it's the most incredible country that you could probably ever visit. And I
Oh,
and
it
I
is.
and I say that like, like, oh, come on. And I was like, well, it's a country where everybody smiles at you, and even if you're a jerk, they'll smile at you, but they just won't mess with you. If you're a
Yeah.
jerk, they'll just go on their way, and they
And
won't
ignore
bother.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And but if you're there and you want to be part of something, they will. I mean, I showed up there the first week, and I could speak a single word of Thai, couldn't understand anything, and they're like, "Oh, you speak so good. You're so," and can you imagine us here if somebody was first week in country from a foreign country and they'd never learned or spoke the language?
Especially random people. They
Yeah,
hear "get out of our country" like 40
yeah.
times a day.
You're like,
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what it was a really new experience for me. So then when I came back, that's how I got into Muay Thai, but I
Yeah.
really didn't train until that was like in 91. I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
train at a gym. I just kind of trained on my own and with some different guys. Like in the late 90s in Reno, I was training with some Taekwondo guys, and
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple kickboxing matches. Didn't go so well, so I kind of just laid off of it. Worked on my professional career, moved here to Vegas, started a business, and then about 3 years after I started my business, that's when I joined Master Toddy's gym, and that's when I officially started learning Muay Thai and started working with people that actually could fight Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So,
So did you spent 2 years in Thailand? I'm
yeah,
assuming you learned the language. I don't. What is
oh,
the
yeah.
name of the language that they speak?
It's
What's in?
Thai.
It's just Thai. Okay.
Yeah,
And do you still fluently speak it?
Yeah, I speak Thai. I'm not as good as I was, but my wife
Hmm.
is Lao, and Lao and Thai is it's kind of like Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. It's like the same thing.
Bro, I thought you said loud. It took me like a half a second. I thought you're like, my wife's loud. Like a half a second, I was like, dude, you're gonna get us
What
both
is
beat up.
Lao?
You're gonna get us both in trouble right now. Okay.
So she's from Laos. She came over after the Vietnam War when
Hmm.
when when Vietnam finally fell. Cambodia, Laos fell to communists. Her parents fled. She came over when she was 3 years old. She grew up here, and when I came back from my mission, she's a member too. I met her at college up in Idaho, and
Oh,
so
okay. That was my next question. Yeah.
yeah, so we met, we got married, and it's been great because um, not only she's loved my life, but I've had the opportunity to still be part of, I say quasi part of Thai culture. My
Hmm.
mother-in-law, she speaks really good English, but she humors me and she'll speak Lao, which is almost the same thing as Thai. And I'll speak Thai to her, she'll speak Lao to me, and we just, and I'm terrible at it now. I'm horrible at it,
Yeah.
but she'll humor me and she'll speak to me as much as I want to speak to her.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
really cool.
yeah.
How long did you know your wife before you guys got married?
We knew each other we dated
How
for
long did you guys date?
a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay, and then got
Yeah,
married.
but we knew we were going to get married probably about, I don't know. We dated for
30 minutes in. About 30 minutes in, you're like, I'm not letting this one go.
well, about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We really got to know each other, and I was like, do you think? And she's like, yeah, I think so. And so we just kept dating, and
Yeah.
we got married. Didn't
Okay.
look.
Heart in a Fight would like to know: is there a difference in Muay Thai training in Thailand and in the States? What's the difference?
I think it just depends on who the trainer is, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
there in Thailand, it's a business. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, the business. I don't know what it's like there now. I've seen like videos of those Thai training facilities and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they put them through the same schedule. But you got to realize that in 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 Thailand now, you have white people going there and they're foreigners, and it's kind of like a training slash vacation. But if you were
Yeah.
a Thai person living in Thailand and you are at a Kai Moi or work training there, that's what you do all day. You don't go
Hmm.
to you don't go to school. I mean, these kids are they probably have schooling, but it's at home, and they get up in the morning, they train in a session, then they eat breakfast, then they do some schooling, then they take a nap, and then evening session they do another session of training, then they eat dinner, and then they go to bed, and they repeat. And they have to do that, and they have to fight every 2 weeks. Most of them fight every 2 weeks because the promoter of the kaimoi or the gym, that he's got to get paid to keep the lights going and keep people
Yeah.
trained. So it's
Yeah.
a,
And
it's
there's some of those guys that'll have 200 fights by the time they're 25 years old.
yeah, and
It's
that's why. I mean,
nuts. Yeah.
like we would find in one town in Pilo, we found the gym where they put on fights every Friday, and
Hmm.
it's kind of cool. It's almost like a BMX event, or I kind of equated to that. Like the dads would show up with their kid, and then they would rub them all down with Nummun Moy, get them all warmed up, and then throw them in the ring, and then
Yeah.
then they fight. And if they win, well, then next week they get to fight the next kid
Yeah.
that until they're up to the champion. And so we would
Yeah.
we would go every week, and that's when I realized it's like these kids fight every week, every Friday they're fighting.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I was just like, holy crap. I mean, like, I can admire that, but I can also go like, it's like no wonder these guys that get to Lumpini and Sanchai and these guys that are 100+ fights, no wonder they're just incredible, because they are the cream of the crop. They've been sifted out for sure
Yeah.
every
Oh
week,
yeah.
you
When
know.
your whole entire organization, when most of your country is fighting every week, you either get good or you learn to be an accountant or something. You know what I mean?
do
You don't
some-
have fucking
you
time
do
for that shit.
something else, because
Yeah.
yeah, So
So,
go ahead.
um, what I was going to get into is you mentioned starting your business. What
Yeah.
business did you start, and what is it in? And how old were you when you started your business?
Okay. Well, let me start what I did for school. It kind of all ties together.
Okay.
So
Yep. Yeah, that works.
I wanted to do a degree in business. I wanted to have a degree in international business because I wanted to
Hmm.
be I could speak Thai, so I wanted to be this international business guy. So I tried to get into BYU after I went to Mormon Junior College. It was called Ricks. It's called BYU Idaho now, but it was only a 2-year college, so I had to go somewhere to get my bachelor's, and I
Hmm.
tried BYU, which has a great international business program, and they're like, you're way too dumb to be at this school, so I had to go. So I went to UNR, and the UNR, they're like, we don't have an international business school, like that would you? And so I went there. So I go, well, I'll be a business education, so at least, which is basically a teaching degree.
Yeah.
And so okay, I'll get a teaching degree. And so then then I was like this last program where they wanted to do 5 years teaching, a 5-year degree where you graduate and then you do another semester of credits and another semester of student teaching, and it's 5-year program. Then you get more pay as a teacher. And I was like, okay, so I graduated in December, and I was like, oh well, then do I do my next semester credits and then student teach in the summer and start working in the fall? And they're like, no, you come back next year and you repeat the process, and then you'll teach the following fall. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be a
Hmm.
teacher because I'm not going to sit around for a year and a half not
Yeah.
make. So I went to
Yeah.
go work at Farmers Insurance as a. I wanted to maybe get into sales, but I wasn't. I was pretty young, so I was like, okay, well, I'll go be an adjuster. And so I was an insurance adjuster for property damage for homeowners insurance. So homeowners' houses would catch fire, or flood out, or they'd have a theft or something like that. I would go in and see what the loss, evaluate the loss, write them a check. And so I
Hmm.
did that for 3.5 years, got a little tired of doing that. So I moved up into their management program, and I was about 30, 31, 32, 31 when I did that. And they liked me. I made some good connections, networked, and then they made me a trainer, and they moved me down here to Vegas. They paid for the move. They paid all the closing costs on our house in Reno. Moved down here to Vegas to train people, and I found out that I didn't like training people. So I wanted to do something on my own. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but there was a guy that owned a Serve Pro, and a Serve Pro is a company that works with insurance companies that when the house floods or when the house catches fire, they're the company that comes in and dries it out, cleans it up, and repairs it.
Does the
So
restoration. Yeah.
yeah, so it's so
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll go work with you. He was looking to hire somebody, so I started talking to him. I said, "Can I come work for you?" And he goes, "Yeah, that'd be great." And I was like, in my mind, I'm going to go work for him, and it's a franchise. So I go, I'll go work for
Yeah.
him for a year, and then I'll buy my own franchise. And that's what my thought was. And so when I was talking to him, and he goes, "Hey, and if you want to start your own franchise," he goes, "I'll come work with me, and I'll help you start your own franchise." And I was like, okay, well, I guess we're on the same page then. Um, so that guy, I worked with him for 6 months. Then he helped me start my own franchise, and I was 30, 31 when I started my own franchise, and
Hmm.
it's fire water. It's a Serve Pro. We drive the bright green vans around, and I worked at that for a good 3 years until that's when I finally had the time to actually go to a gym and train. And then we've been doing that since 2002. The Serve
Okay.
Pro.
So you still have a Serpro franchise.
Yeah,
Do you have just one, or do you have multiple
I have
franchises?
multiple licenses. I have 2 licenses here in town,
Hmm.
um, and I have a separate company that does the reconstruction side and abatement side. And then, so yeah, I got two different companies. And I have my nephews. I have 2 nephews that work with me, and
Hmm.
that'd probably be the retirement that they'll probably want to buy it or take it over at some point.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's kind of a family business type thing. We do,
Makes
and
sense.
it's been a blessing. I mean, it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of sleepless nights, and I worked 16 hours a day for 3 months, and just driving around a green van trying to get people to give me work, and now we have. I don't want to brag, but I mean, we've come a long ways. It's a
That's
long
good.
ways.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you worked very hard for it.
Yeah.
Couple questions from the audience, real quick. Have you seen the Tiger Muay Thai gym in Thailand? If so, what are your thoughts on their training compared to your experience in Thailand in the States?
Oh, yeah, Tiger Muay Thai. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that gym quite a bit. I mean, those guys, they've all they all hire top notch dudes. If you
Yeah.
look at the trainers, like their trainers are all 100 plus 5 that are former Lumpini champions. They're all, and I think Tiger Muay Thai is actually one of the better of the gyms because of the fact that they have a really, and American AKAs over there now too. Javier, I guess, opened AKA over there, but they have a really good MMA program too. So those,
Oh,
I mean, you can't. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the big names over there. I mean, honestly,
I can't imagine. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, you have children. How many children do you have, Wade? And when did you start making babies? Pretty much from the gate, huh?
No, actually, my wife and I were married in '94, and our first was
Mm.
born in 2002. So
Really? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we tried for a long time,
Hmm.
and my wife had a lot of miscarriages, and it just never worked out. And then
Yeah.
finally moved down here to Henderson. That's when it finally worked, and
Hmm.
and we have I have a 20-year-old that's in college right now, and I have a
Hmm.
15-year-old that's a freshman in high school, and they're both boys.
Okay. And I know, do both of them play sports or just one of them?
Well, my oldest, they both played. My oldest played college the last 2 years. He's done
Mhm.
playing college ball. He's decided
What's he play? What's his
they're
sport?
soccer. They're both soccer players.
Both soccer players. Okay.
Um,
Yep.
they, my oldest, when he was young, he was really into skateboarding. I thought he'd like that, but he really likes social stuff, so he got into soccer, and
Hmm.
he was good at it. So I put him on a club team because I wanted him to. I saw that a technical sport like that, you had to play in high school. You kind of have to up your game a little bit when you're younger. You kind of have to specialize,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so he just played year round. I put him on a club team when he was 9, and then he's had really good success. He did really well, and then my younger, just because we were always at the fields with my older son,
Hmm.
Cy. My oldest son is Tay. My younger boy is Cy. Cy was always there, so he just ended up loving it too. And Cy he's a great player too. He plays on uh, probably one of the best, if not the best team in Nevada right now, club team. And
Oh, really? That's
oh
cool.
yeah, I mean
Hmm.
they're '07s. They're all freshmen and sophomores, but they they can beat any age team right now in the state. And they're just really he has a really good coach, really solid bunch of teammates, and he does well. They both love it, and it's where he goes with it. Tays obviously he's run his path with it. Sai,
Hmm.
where he goes as like you don't have to be a pro, just give it your all, be the best at something that you love, and then when you're done with it, you're done with it, and then you move on to the next thing, and whatever your next thing you want to do, be the best at it. And that's kind of that's the mindset we have on stuff. So
Okay. That makes sense.
yeah.
And it's very good to encourage kids for sports. Like I encourage mine all the time, even if they're not going anywhere with it. Where did you get their names from? Where do their names come from?
Oh, well, Tay Tay is a Thai slang. It means cool. So his name is Cool, and his middle name's Wade. Cool Wade Adams. So, And then
Bro, for the most humble dude I know, that was the most arrogant shit I've ever heard of. You named
well,
your son. You... Oh my god. Okay, what about Cy?
and then Sai is it's multiple. It could be boy, it could be royal, prince, it can
Mm-hmm.
be horde. It just depends. But Sai is we kind of picked names that were Thai Lao slash English too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of pay homage to both sides of the family, so to speak.
Yeah. No, those are pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's hear about what made you join Street Beefs. How did you end up doing that?
Oh, I just obviously I when I would get on YouTube, I would just type in Muay and look for whatever fights or MMA, and then all of a sudden in my feed, this some, some juggalo.
Go ahead.
Also, I see this juggalo. I think the first fight, as I see this juggalo kid, where there's a big tall guy with a mullet just lay out some juggalo kid. And I was like, what is this? I was like, and Face got on and he announced it, and I was like, what is going on? I was just immediately locked into this aspect of like, I'm like, is this his backyard? I'm like, I got a million questions going through my mind. I'm like, who is this Face guy? Why is he in somebody's backyard? And why is this guy the guy that's getting laid out? I'm like, why is this guy wanting to fight anybody? I mean, like fighting should be the last thing on that guy's agenda for the
Yeah.
you know, and so I started what I started doing is I was like, I'll search on Google, and I was like, I can't even find like a website for this thing. And so I was like, read the information that says if you want fights and if you want to join the group, join the Facebook group. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to have a convention in Washington, D.C. pretty soon. So I'll join the Facebook group. And I was like, maybe I can go watch a fight, since I knew that they were, for some reason, I figured out they were in Virginia. And so then when I joined the group, I was like, just kind of in there looking around and kind of being part of the group, not really doing
So you
a lot.
joined the OG branch group before Street Beefs West Coast was even a thing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah,
I did, and I was just like looking around, and then all of a sudden this dude that was always posting on there, and he kind of, I don't know, he seemed like a kind of a, I don't know, he was just this really built, like tall dude, and he goes, I'm gonna fight Martin Rubio, and he goes, I'm 12 inches taller than him. This is gonna be a blast. And I'm like, I click on this Martin Rubio guy, and I'm like, this dude's in Vegas. Like, who is this guy? Why would he fight somebody a foot taller than him? Who is this nutcase? And so I messaged Martin. I go, dude, you don't know me. I said, but listen, I don't know. Do you train with anybody or anything? He's like, no, I don't train with anybody or anything. I said, okay, I'm going to come train with you. I think I got some ideas of how you could beat this guy, since he's really tough. And
I've never heard this story. This is so fucking
cool. Yeah. I go, we'll work on some things. So when you fight this guy, you can beat him. He's like, oh, cool. And so we finally meet up, and I'm like, okay, you want to just go to the body? And I'm like, you go to the body, and I kept hitting Martin in the body, and Martin's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he goes to the bathroom, and he just starts throwing up everywhere. I just hear, ah! Ah! And I'm just like, what is going on? What is going on?
That's so fucking funny. Oh man, bro, Martin, Tank, you gotta chime in, bro. You gotta tell us about this. Like,
and so I'm like, because Martin, and he comes out, he's like, dude, I'm sorry, man. He goes, I haven't trained for like years and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that he like tied one on the night before. I punched him in the stomach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then, if he was breathing, he tied one on the night before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got to meet Martin. And then when Face came out to the West Coast and he was going to do the event in the desert
Hmm.
with porta potties,
Yeah.
I was going to be there, but it was the previous week, and then he had to cancel it and postpone it and push it out the next week. And
Hmm.
so my son had a tournament, I couldn't make it, but I was going to be there at that one with Martin, and we were both going to participate in that one. So I've
Good.
kind of, I'm not OG in the West Street Beast West Coast, but I was close. I was this close to being
You
on the very.
beat Tank up before he was Tank. You pummeled him into the bathroom to vomit. That's pretty OG, bro. That's
Well,
pretty OG.
and it was funny because I kind of felt bad. I go, dude, I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, don't feel bad. And
Yeah.
then I started following him, and he posted it like on Facebook or Instagram or something. And I was like, and he's like, look at this shot. And he's like, and so I was like, this guy's cool. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is my guy. This is my kind of guy. And we've been tied ever since. Martin and I,
Mhm.
he's my man.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. So, did you train him to whoop Bushido Zed's ass that one time?
Did I what?
Did you train him to beat up Alex?
Well, I
Come on, let's hear it.
I basically told him, I was like, dude, nobody's going to have cardio. So if you just keep walking forward, they're going to get tired at some point.
Yep.
And it's like, nobody's going to have cardio in this thing. Just walk forward, and eventually they just got to fall.
Yeah.
And poor Alex. I mean, Martin is just like a brick wall. How would you? I mean, can you imagine
He's
Martin?
literally. Some would even call him a tank. Yes. He's
Yeah,
like
you would.
a tank, like a tiny tank, if you will.
I felt when he beat up Alex, because I go, who did you fight? And he goes, oh, you know him. He's I was like, oh, that's the guy that, like, I think it was weird. Alex, like, that was like the second time he had drove down there for a fight. He had drove down there the previous week, and they're like, we're not going to do it this week, and he had to drive back home. And then he turned around, and drove back down again. That's how committed Alex was to being on that. And so I was like, oh yeah, I know him. That guy's cool, man. He went down there twice. And Martin's like, yeah. And he didn't tell me. He made me wait. He goes, I did pretty good. I knew it. I did pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So and then so when was your first official Street Beast fight? When did you take a fight?
Was an SB no, actually it wasn't SB1. It was in Luis's backyard, Killer B's backyard.
Okay, so 2.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
Face just showed up to town. He's like, hey, let's do something in the backyard. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And so we went there, and it was Nate. I forget Nate's name, his fight name, but he he shows up, and Tank's like, you're gonna fight a guy who's about 250. I'm like, 250? I was like, dude, this. And he shows up, and then Nate's like, I gotta fight you. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, well, I gotta fight you. And so we start. So yeah. Anyways, we get out there, and he can see that I'm not nervous at all. I'm just kind of like standing right there. And he looks at me, and he goes, dude, I don't know how to kickbox.
Did you tune him up?
Yeah, well, I punched him and I kicked him, and then like at the beginning, I like did a high kick, and it was like my toe went like right across his mouth like this, and I stood there like, come on, hit me back.
Let's see what he's gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, dude, I don't know how to kickbox.
Wait, he said that in the middle of the fight? That's so good.
And I was like,
kickbox, yeah.
and I was like, okay, we'll just make it work. So we just kind of sparred basically.
Yeah, just a little hard spar. Yeah.
Yeah, we I gave him some hard low kicks, and I got him with a good right cross. But he kicked me low, and he cut my shin. I tried to check one of his kicks, and he cut my shin, and he hit me with a good right. So I mean, he got some shots in, but that was the very first one.
Okay. And did you fight? You fought at 3 as well, because I remember that was my first fight, and you were there. I can't
Yeah,
remember if you fought though. I'm pretty sure you did.
yeah. I fought in 1, 2, and 3. I fought 3 months in a row, which was probably, obviously too much. Because when it's
Yeah.
some, yeah, because that's the day I lost to Sun Wu. But yeah,
At 3.
yeah, 3.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Um, yeah, because in 1 I fought Storm Rider, and that was crazy. He
Hmm.
ran me like a. It was the weirdest thing, dude. I love Jeff though. I just love that guy.
He is a really, really cool individual.
He
Yeah.
is.
I
I love.
remember that. I very clearly remember that. He just ran at you, and you're all. You just put your elbow in his face, and he falls on the ground, and then you start punching him.
I was. He was in a 3-point stance at the
Yeah,
beginning of
he was.
the
He straight up tried to tackle you. I was like,
Is he
oh my
gonna run?
god,
I was like, is
he
he
absolutely was. Yes.
yeah. But and then I got to fight Clutch. I had met Clutch at
Mm-hmm.
in Killer Bee's backyard. I had met Clutch there. So Clutch and I knew each other really well. So we were friends fighting, you know, and 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 that was fun. Clutch is a great individual. That's one of
I really like Clutch. He's really, really cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
really. I can't say that I really haven't met anybody in Street Beefs that I haven't liked. I mean, I really enjoy going. I introduce myself to everybody as much as I can, and just try to make everybody feel like they're part of something. Because really, this who knows how long this is going to go on. Well, hopefully, it
Mm-hmm.
goes on for a long, long time. But it's something special right now.
It is.
And so I like to help. I like to make people feel like they're at something special, which they are. And so
Yeah. One of the things I tell people is that the level of community and the energy of an event it's unmatched. I mean, you've been to dozens of fight events. I've been to dozens of fight events,
oh,
outside of street beefs, and it's completely unmatched. There's no other organization can touch us with the level of community and how
yeah,
our events are.
oh yeah, it's therapeutic. It's very it, it's what you would hope it fighting events would be, but they just aren't. When you go to a
Right.
event, you're gonna hang around your team, and you're going to be around your coaches, and it's going to be a tense situation. Some people handle it better than others. When I fought the 2 sanction times I did, I was kind of it. It wasn't fun. I enjoyed training. I really love training. I just love it, and I love the camaraderie of it. And then when I went to the sanction events, I was like, oh man, this is just it wasn't for me. So then when I went to a Street Beefs West Coast event, when I went to uh, Luis's backyard, and then Street Beefs West Coast #1 in San Bernardino, I was just like, this is awesome. This is
Yeah.
this is my kind of scene. I like this.
Yeah. Um, Coyote would like to know who's the coolest guy you've met in street beefs. Go ahead. Who's your favorite street
But
beefer? Yeah, absolutely loaded question. Because one guy is going to be really happy, and about 6,000 others are going to be like, "What the fuck, Wade?"
oh god, there's not one, and I
Were
got to
you
be
about to
honest.
say? He almost said, "Golly!" Did you guys hear that? Golly, I don't know.
Seriously though, I there's some people that I've really clicked with, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go in order of what how I met people. The first person I clicked with was Martin. Okay, that was the
Mm-hmm.
very first person I met, and then through Street Beefs I met David, Mr. Nice Guy, and that's like, and I've known him when he was a kid. I went to church with his parents. We were in the same ward, so I've known him
Did
forever.
Did you just say you met him in street beefs?
Yeah, I met him in Street Beef. We reconnected in Street. He was a little kid. He didn't
Oh,
really,
got you. Okay.
and then he joined
I
the group. Like, I want to fight, and I was like, "Hey, David, and he goes, "I don't know, remember you?" And I was like, "Okay." So we started training.
Okay, got you.
So, uh, and then would be Blackout would be the next one, and then after that would be Karma was the first guy I met at an event, and then
Mhm.
Oni and Karma and Shinny and was hanging out. We were all in the same corner of that event, and we got to know each other really well.
Yeah.
And and uh, and then and then I met Alex, got to know Alex really well. I'm trying to think who else at that event. I met Whamma. Well, I knew Whamma. We had messaged before, but we hadn't really met as much. And Whamma and Isaac, and that's when we kind of started forming Sin City Strikers. And then I
Yeah.
met Ivan. I started working with Ivan, Battleborn.
Ivan's Battleborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Battleborn, Free Smoke, Whamma, and then Kyle Dio, and then I met. And then here comes Wero from Arizona to my backyard.
Yeah, that was definitely a fascinating situation because I found out about Street Beefs from Wama on Reddit. He posted one of his fights, and I was like, "Dude, where did you do that?" And he said, "Street Beefs, blah blah blah." He's like, "Join the group." So I joined the group and I sign up, and nothing. So I messaged him. And I was like, "Hey man, let me come train with you. Do you know anybody who like runs it? I need to get just somebody to see my face because I don't really train, so I'm not training you. I
Yeah.
don't post any training videos." And so he was like, "Yeah, come on up." So I drove up to Vegas just to go to your house for 2 hours and train half as bro. At that point, I hadn't thrown a kick in 10 years.
Oh, and
Yep.
and then all of a sudden you pulled up, and I was like, you had messaged me before, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is the dude that messaged me before. I'm like, how did you know this is going on? It's
Yep. Yeah.
like Wham invited me. I'm like, okay, good, come on in,
Yeah.
and so you obviously Clutch is a big one. And then another one though is definitely Coyote. Coyote, the first time I met him, I was like talking to him, and I go, dude, because we're talking before the fight, and then after the fight, I was like, man, your body shots, you fight like a like a true Mexican, kind of thing. And he kind of wondered what his reaction was. He's like, yeah, thanks. And I'm like, okay, this is my kind of dude. I like this
Yeah.
guy. And so that was I distinctly remember meeting Coyote and just astonished by his body shots. That was astonishing. And then after that, like you know, everybody I meet, there's something great about everybody. I mean, and I hate to sound like that, but truly, like, I'll see DTP and I'll just like be busting laughing just how goofy that guy is, and just you
But he's so fun and so cool at the same time. Like
yeah,
it's weird. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's
There's
just
a lot of
goofy.
guys. I don't know any bad guys in the group. You know what I mean? Like they're all pretty good deep down, and some of them not even so deep down. Some of them wear that goodness right on their sleeve. It's pretty
Well,
cool.
and even some of them that like maybe in the group had a little bit of bad interactions. Like I know Jimmy Fit, like he got in arguments with
Hmm.
the group, and then when I
Yeah,
met him at the event, I'm like, we're talking and everything. I was like, dude, you're just like super nice. Why don't you?
he's the nicest guy, man. He really is.
Why
You
don't
know,
you? Why don't you tell
he
that to your thumbs?
right? Yeah, yeah. Some guys, and you know who's like that too? Storm Rider. Storm Rider's a
Oh,
fucking sweetest dude.
oh yeah.
Such a cool dude face to face. Bro, if you even vaguely talk shit to him on Facebook, he
Oh
loses his goddamn mind, bro. He really does. Yeah.
yeah. And that's exactly right. So like that's I think that's probably one of the great things about this is that you know you've got Instagram, you got social Twitter, and all this crap.
Hmm.
People are on all day long, and they never have to go face to face with anybody. And in this group, we keep it. We tell you people, hey, you got to be respectful and everything, but you can still talk your crap. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to face everybody at that event.
Yeah, you can't talk shit to somebody and then not show up. That's when you get
Yeah,
in trouble. Yeah.
and then when you show up, then they're like, oh crap, I need to act accordingly. And when you treat people face to face, there's a different type of interaction that happens.
Yeah.
different communication that you actually see that person and you kind of begin to understand that person, and you may be more accepting of that person's opinion, even though it might
Mm-hmm.
be contrary to yours, but you're more accepting of it because you like the person. You can see that, hey, that's not the person. This one opinion isn't that person. That person,
Exactly.
a lot more. There's a lot more to them than that one opinion. Like if I had that thought, I would never talk to Shinny if I ever saw him face to face. And every time I see Shinny, because we fight online all the time,
Yeah.
but every time I see Shinny, I give him a big hug, and I'm so glad to see that guy because
Yeah.
he's a brother to me, and I know, and face to face, I know he's more than anything that his thumbs can produce or type out. He's way more than that, and that's
He
what
is. He's a great dude.
yeah, and that's what I love about Street Beefs is that it's an organization that allows adult males and females to get to know people on a face-to-face basis, which is tough to come by now. There's not a
Very
lot of,
tough. Very
there's not
tough.
a lot of interaction now. So
Yeah. Cody. Different. Yeah, City's a good dude. Um, so what is next for WA? Which I'm going to ask this because I have to ask this. This is just part of Locked In. Where did you come up with your fight name?
it's my initials.
I know.
I'm not very good.
You really, you really jumped out on that creative
Well,
branch with that one, didn't you?
no, this is the truth. When
Hmm.
when I was a senior in high school, Easy E dropped his first cassette. This is what we were listening to. We were listening to cassettes.
And you were a
It,
senior in high school then?
yeah, senior in high school, 88, before basketball season,
Yeah,
fall before basketball season. I grabbed this tape and it's called Easy E, Easy Does It.
yeah.
And I was like, this looks like big. Back then, there's hardly any hip hop, and I was a big hip
Hmm.
hop fan. I was like, anything that hip hop came out was going to be good because there just wasn't a lot of it. So
Yeah,
generally, it was going to be good. So this came out, and I was like, this dude with a windbreaker on and loped out sunglasses and jerry curl. I was like, this is going to be good,
yeah.
and it
And
it
it was.
was. It,
Yeah, hell yeah.
it was the best thing I've ever heard. And then again, I'm the Mormon kid, but it was the best thing I ever heard. It
Yeah.
was awesome. And so then NWA comes out. And I'm like, hey, that's named after me, WA. So we had, we really didn't even come to a conclusion of like, what does that even stand
Yeah.
for? We didn't even
It's
really. And it was like, hey, it's me, it's WA. And so,
yeah, it's night. It stands for Nice Wade Adams.
yeah, nice Wade Adams.
Nice Wade Adams.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Good.
here's a good question. Q-Tip would like to know what the fuck a cassette is. I remember. So I remember having a cassette and a Walkman on
Oh,
my hip.
really?
Yeah, when I was younger, and I would when I was at my when I was really young, I lived with my grandma. Because my mom and dad went around and mom was out running around doing her thing. And so I had my little Walkman on and I had my little headset. And I remember listening to MC Hammer and who was it? The two boys that rap, Crisscross. I remember I had an MC Hammer and
Oh,
Crisscross tapes. Yeah.
well, that's what I had in '88. In that fall, they had regular cassette. They had Dolby was the thing, so it didn't have all the hissing.
Yeah.
And but then they came out with something like super bass. They called it super bass on the cassette,
Yeah.
and so
Nicki
you could
Minaj.
turn
Yep.
up the bass. And I got these Sony headphones that were like bigger, and I got Easy E, and I would put on my friends' ears like, you got to listen to this, and I close it over and just be like, goon, goon. And they're like, that sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
I was the kid with the 212s in the back of his Bronco going around, bumping Too Short and Easy E, in the middle of a hick
Yeah.
town. Just that was my thing. And so that's how I kind of got WA. People started calling me WA, my friends, just as a joke. It was like a
Yeah.
running joke. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
well, WA.
I like it. I like it. Okay. So what is next for you, Street Beefs wise?
I'm gonna look at the event when down in Mesa, and me and Dirty Devil, I
Yep.
think are gonna.
Yeah. If for
I,
anybody that doesn't know.
yeah, Dirty Devil and I, and he's 40 and over. He's over. I don't know how old, but he's over 40, so he's Master Division, and that should
Hmm.
be fun. And then I like training, and I like meeting people, and there's a lot of young kids that are doing this that don't have the money to train with people, so I don't mind meeting people in the park or having them over my house and
Hmm.
training. And I still go to Syndicate on Saturdays and spar. I just love training. So if a fight comes up, it comes up. If not, no big deal. And then
Okay.
I kind of run the Master Division championship. So the last belt we gave out or didn't give out, that was won by Dat Itis, and he's the
Hmm.
heavyweight champion for Master Division, which is 40 and over. So if anybody 40 and over wants to get in and give him a challenge, he'll be gladly accepted. And I'm the Master Division light heavyweight, I guess all three, because nobody's challenged
Yeah.
on it.
From
So
130 and up. That's you.
yeah, um, so I think what I'll do, um, I haven't mentioned the Dirty, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a belt and put a belt out there so the Dirty we can be fighting for something.
Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
That was
we'll
actually my next question: are you putting your belt up for that? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm technically light heavyweight, maybe middleweight. I don't know what we're gonna try. I'm just probably be 190, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll
He's gonna be
we'll
closer to 180. You guys will be right
yeah.
around there. Yeah. Um.
So win or lose, maybe that guy can, if he wants it, he can own the title
Yeah.
of middleweight, maybe win or lose or
Yeah.
whatever the outcome. I don't know,
I like it. Yeah. I think
but
you talk to
whatever.
Martin and Alex about that, see what they want to do, but it's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do those with the Master Division is I try to encourage guys that are in that division to come out and
Hmm.
and put a challenge out there and get back in the gym. I mean, like, listen, it's not the safest sport, but it's not the most dangerous sport.
No.
You're not gonna hurt your joints. You're not gonna. I mean, like, people go, how do you still do that? I was like, I can't run, man. I mean, literally, I
Yeah.
can't run. I can kick the bag and I can punch and I can spar 12 rounds and I'm fine.
I've seen it. I've literally seen it. Yeah. Like I can't run anymore either, but
Yeah.
and I can spar 12 seconds myself, so I get it. And I can't run. You know what I mean? So I definitely get it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
You're better than
um
here's where.
Samcat asked what style. I believe they're doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I believe Muay Thai, kickboxing, something. I'm going to double check and confirm with them, but I believe they did Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, and the last thing, Heart in the Fight, which I believe is Daniel behind that right now. He wanted to ask if you could drop. Let's see. And at some point, please have Wade share some proverbs for life, training, and success. What do you got? Like you are like we joke about it a lot, but you're one of the oldest individuals in Street Beast West Coast,
Yeah.
and you've also been training in martial arts a lot longer than us. Most everybody most of us have even had testosterone flowing through our system. You know what I mean? Before we were born, like a lot of that, and
Yeah.
then you take into account that you're also a successful businessman. You have a successful marriage. Like that's hard to find these days. People that have been married for, what have you been married for? 60, 70 years, something like that?
That's pretty.
Roughly. But
Yeah.
it's very hard to find somebody who just all around has his shit together that way and is successful in everything he chooses to do. So share with us how that happens.
Well, this is my one thing is that choices are what make your life. Your personal choices. If I was going to tell anybody anything, it's your personal choices that will determine what happens in your life, good or bad. End of the day, it doesn't. What outside forces? Not everybody's going to start in the same place, but everybody can make certain choices to make sure that they end up in a better place than they started out. And with that, I also like to say that Fear is probably the biggest thing that holds anybody back. I'm not talking like fear of bodily harm. I'm talking about fear of failing, fear of trying something new, fear of getting out of your comfort zone, fear of anything that keeps you from being the best person that you can possibly be. And it might sound like, people might roll their eyes at that, but honestly, when I started my business, I had to face fear. I mean, like, I had to face like real fears that I never like. I had people that I employed, and like, what if I didn't have enough money to pay them? How would I face that fear? What would I have to do? And these kind of fears I just had to face and just had to go through and meet them head on and get through them. And that's probably the two biggest thing is personal choices will make more of an effect in your life than anything anybody else can ever do for you. And then fear is the worst. Fear. Kevin Ross is a really successful Muay Thai fighter. Is a guy I used to train with at Master Toddy's, and he's a good friend. Um, he has a really good saying. He says, "Face your fears, live your dreams," and he's dead on, man. You face your fears, you can live your dreams. If you don't face your fears, you can dream all you want, but you're never gonna live them.
Yeah.
Then that's it. So
That's good advice. That's very good advice. Did I tell you I met Kevin Ross once at the Pink Taco in Vegas?
yeah, you told me. You said you go.
Oh yeah.
Guy that still fights with shin guards.
Oh yeah. Because I told him I had been training Muay Thai for like 7 months maybe, and I met him and I was like, "Hey man," I said, "I just started watching your fights, bro. Big fan." I said, "You're killing it. Definitely somebody I look up to in this sport." And he goes, I was like, I suck right now, but you are where people aspire to be. And he's like, "Oh, you don't suck." I was like, "I haven't even removed my pads yet in my first 2 fights." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you suck." And he was joking around with me, but I was just like, all right.
Let me tell you one thing a little bit about him. He lived at Master Toddy's gym. He was going to school. He didn't have. He heard. I don't. He didn't. I don't know what he had, but he lived upstairs. He trained in the morning. He'd go to school. He'd come back, train at noon. He'd go back to school, and then he would come back in the evening and train all night, and then just go upstairs and go to bed, and then repeat. That kid was. I mean, to get where he
disciplined.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. He made personal choices that changed his life. Those are choices he made. Nobody told him he had to live there and train all that time.
Yeah,
nobody told him he had to keep going to school. Nobody told him he had to learn how to be an artist and express himself. Nobody told him any of this stuff. He just made those choices himself and made his own destiny. And like he said, he faced his fears. He wanted to fight the best fight. He fought Sanchai. He fought Coke. You know how many fights Coke had? Coke had over 300 fights when Kevin fought. 300 plus fights, and Kevin wanted to fight him. And he fought Malai he lived that.
Is that how you say? I've always said Malapet. I've never known how to say.
Oh,
I've never known how. I've been butchering that name for years. Yeah,
it's Malai Pet. Malai Pet. But yeah, he that guy is astonishing. He's my hero.
Cody's got a question. What's your way of going out? Hitting a certain age, certain number of fights, holding all the belts, or are you trying to fight till you're 70?
I just I don't know. I guess I had a number. I said if I can get to 10, that'll be more than enough. If I can get to
10, where are you at right now?
I'm at 8. So
8? Okay.
Yeah. So I could do 2 more. And then after that, it's just like don't need to, but if there's something that's going to be fun, then we'd see. But I don't want to be a liability either. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be. If I'm ever going to fight, it's make sure I'm training. I'm ready to fight. I don't want to be a liability. And I realized that when I lost to Sun Wu, I was like, dude, I don't want to be a liability in there. And when I fought A-Train, when Face came over after they go, you got to stop the bleeding. in his nose, and and Face goes, "Hey man, I kind of want to stop this." I go, "That's fine." Like
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not trying to ruin this for anybody. I don't.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
don't want
Yeah.
them. So that's my thoughts. If I can do 10, I'm more than happy. And if I do 8 or 9, then that's fine too. It doesn't really matter to me.
I think you can get 10. I think for that last one, maybe this one with Dirty Devil will bump you up to 16-ounce gloves.
Yeah, yeah.
Bump you up. Yeah.
I spar
Okay.
with 18, so
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions for Wade before we close it out? Yeah. By the way, I appreciate you doing the podcast. I know we talked about it, and what was odd is when we first talked about this, you were like, "Well, I don't think anybody's gonna want to hear what I gotta say." And you would be surprised. You would be surprised. You're very, very. There's a lot of people that hold you hold a special place with them. You know what I mean? Like right here, this honestly, 4 words just cleared it
oh
out. Wade is an inspiration, and you
well.
really are. You inspire a lot of people.
I appreciate that. I was I didn't want to do it, not because I didn't like you. I just was like, I want these young guys to have something good. They
Hmm.
deserve something. I don't need it, but I understand what you're saying, and I really appreciate you letting me be on here and talk about myself, because it's 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 therapeutic to do that.
It
And
really is. I've heard
and
that a couple times. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and I want to really express how much the people in this group mean to me. I mean, they honestly do. They may think I'm a jerk because I say smart ass stuff all the time,
Hmm.
but it's just because I just like so.
Bro, the day I met you, I just got done fighting Jet, and I walked out of the cage, and you started saying some smart ass shit, and I was like, "Who is this motherfucker right now, bro?" I thought you were talking so much shit. I was like, "Oh, yeah." That's the first time I ever met you. You start talking shit. I'm like, okay,
Uh, that's what I do.
yeah, absolutely. Wade is what a lot of men should aim to be. He's an inspiration for sure, and definitely a blessing to have him around. It really is. You're definitely the glue that holds certain pieces of this whole thing together. No joke.
I
So,
appreciate it. It
yep.
means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. You deserve it. But like I said, my man, I appreciate having you on. It was a good show. I like to talk. Let's do this again after your next 10 fights.
Okay, we'll do.
All
All right.
right, my man. You have a good night.
All right. Thanks. You too.
All right, buddy. Later. So yeah, I announced last week that we were gonna have Beast or not Beast, Beach on. Beast is in the queue though. I ain't hit him up yet, but I'm definitely gonna be reaching out here shortly. Um, but Beach was supposed to be on. He had some things come up, so he couldn't make it. So we're gonna look to reschedule. Next week I have Baby Hulk potentially being on. I haven't confirmed again yet, so but that's the goal. We'll see what we got. Appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Have a good night.